Greetings to all. As part of our topic in understanding the South, today we're gonna looking at the South from various perspectives. So, on behalf of my group mates, I will be the one who will introduce themselves. And I am Rachel T. Alabado. This is Fhairodz Daen Alamada, and this is Ruchelle Alocelja. And now, for today, we're gonna discuss the philosophy, about the philosophy, the history of philosophy, and the three periods of ancient philosophy. So, let's begin. So, my first question is, what is philosophy? So, philosophy, it is an etymology comes from the Greek philos, or what we call love, and sophia means wisdom. So, this is what we call love of wisdom. So, it is the study of the basic or fundamental principles of life, knowledge, reality, existence, morality, human nature, and etc. Through the use of logic and reason. So, as an academic discipline, it does not provide ultimate answers, despite the ultimate nature of philosophical ideas. So, also it encourages individuals to ask questions and to seek answers for themselves, and also opens the minds of people. And also, it encourages students to philosophize. So, that is philosophy. So, in other words, so philosophy means love of wisdom. So, in a broad sense, philosophy is an activity people undertake when they seek to understand fundamental truths about themselves. So, the world in which they live and the relationship to the world and to with each other. And now, let us proceed to the history of philosophy. Since philosophy is the love of wisdom, it is also an approach that can be employed. It grounds the ideas to the context of the philosophers, shows the development of philosophy alongside with the development of human discovery and knowledge, and grounds contemporary ideas, can provide an objective presentations of philosophical ideas, and can be a ground or basis for other approaches. Kasi nga 'di ba, philosophy is systematized study of general and fundamental questions such as those about existence, reasons, knowledge, values, mind, and language. And such questions are often posed as problems to be studied and resolved by those philosophers. So that is, and that belongs to the history of philosophy.
So now we are talking about the ancient philosophy from 1000 BC or the before Christ to 500 AD or the Anno Domini. So ancient philosophy is a philosophy in antiquity or before the end of the Roman Empire. It usually refers to ancient Greek philosophy. It can also encompass various other intellectual traditions such as Chinese philosophy, Indian philosophy, and Iranian philosophy. Ancient philosophy are generally deeply rooted in religious traditions. So in ancient philosophy, there is three periods: the pre-Socratics or the Martians, the ancient triumvirate, and post-Aristotelians. So let's proceed here in pre-Socratics, the Martians. So pre-Socratics or the pre-Socratic philosophers were the earliest Western philosophers, active during the 5th and 6th centuries before Christ era in ancient Greece. Thales, Anaximander, Anaximenes are the grouped together as the Martians. These philosophers tried to discover principles that could uniformly, consistently, and comprehensively explain all natural phenomena and the events in human life without resorting to mythology. For this reason, they often called natural philosophers. So, cosmocentric, it means that there is a fundamental principle or thing that underlies everything else, including the human self. So, cosmocentric is a vision of reality that places the highest importance or emphasis in the universe of or nature as opposite to an anthropocentric vision, which strongly focuses on humankind as the most important element of existence. So cosmocentric is a belief that the natural state of our universe should remain as it is, without human attempts to terraform planets for human habitations. Thales identified the ultimate reality with water. Thales of Miletus is known as the first philosopher. This view was established by Aristotle, who called Thales the father of philosophy. Like other thinkers of antiquity, he did not consider water to be a pure physical chemical compound. Water carried a sense of mystery and divinity. Anaximander of Miletus identified it with the boundless or undefined. Anaximenes of Miletus equated it with air. These materials elements should not be understood within the context of modern science. It also includes Democritus, Heraclitus, Anaxagoras, and Pythagoras. Democritus identified the ultimate reality with countless numbers of immutable, permanent elements called atoms and presented a purely mechanical materialism. Heraclitus conceived of being as a process or an event and represented its essence as fire, and Anaxagoras as mind, and Pythagoras identified number as the unchanging determining principle and found numerical harmony both in the cosmos and healthy human life.
And now let's move on to the ancient of triumvirate. So ancient of triumvirate, it is the government by the three persons who shares authority and responsibility. So there are the big three of Greek philosophy. There are Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. And now let us discuss the one of the big three of the Greek philosophy, which is Socrates. So Socrates was a great philosopher from the Athens, who is credited as the founder of Western philosophy and among the first moral philosophers of the ethical tradition of thought. So Socrates didn't write anything, but his ideas were echoed by his student Plato in his dialogues. So, know thyself. It is an examined life. It is not worth of living. So, knowing yourself has extraordinary prestige in our culture, as what Socrates replied. So each person has an immortal soul that surpasses the death of the body, dualistic reality, body and soul. So Socrates was convinced that in the addition to our physical bodies, each person possesses an immortal soul that survives beyond the death of the body. So there are two aspects of reality, the physical world and the spiritual world. So physical world, it is the changeable, transit and imperfect. It is the world of senses and matters. So physical world, it is the lowest of the seven worlds. The world in which ordinary man moves and is conscious under normal conditions. So the another one is the spiritual world. It is unchanging, external, perfect, and the world of ideas or forms. So our soul or self strive for wisdom and perfection, and reason is the soul's tool to achieve such state. So the soul is a unified, indissoluble, immortal entity that remains the same over time and that is in the very likeness of the divine. It designates the construction of the philosophical system on the remote pattern of the rationalism of classical romantic philosophies. And now, let's discuss the another big tree of Greek philosophy, which is Plato. So Plato was an ancient Greek philosopher born in Athens during the classical period in ancient Greece. In Athens, Plato founded the Academy, a philosophical school where he taught the philosophical doctrines that would later become known as Platonism. So there are three parts of the soul or self. So first is the reason, second is the physical appetite, and the third is the spirit or passion. So reason, it is the divine essence that let us think deeply, or wisdom, make wise choices, and achieve a true understanding of eternal truth. So reason, it is called as logical or logistikon. From logos, it's the thinking part of the soul which loves the truth. So it is the thinking part of the soul which loves the truth and seek to learn it. So another one is the physical appetite. So physical appetite accounts for the basic biological needs such as hunger, thirst, and sexual desire. So it is also called epipnetikon or appetite. So the appetite part of the soul desires bodily pleasures such as food, drink, and etc. So lastly, it is the spirit of passion or passion. So accounts for the basic emotions such as love, anger, ambition, aggressiveness, empathy. They are in a dynamic relationship with each other. So in agreement or in conflict, but it is the responsibility of the reason to restore harmony among the three. It is also called thymoides. So harmony, it is the justice in the individual, social, and political levels. Aristotle. So Aristotle was one of the Greek philosopher and polymath. His writings cover a broad range of subjects including physics, biology, zoology, government, politics, and etc. So Aristotle, it is the mind or self, is a tabula rasa or a blank tablet. The self consists of matter and form. Matter is in a continuous process of developing and becoming. So the process of competition is through experiences as knowledge is acquired through the senses, and this knowledge is true. But this self comes from a first cause, the source of all changes, although unchangeable itself. So the goal of the human self is rich in happiness through moderation of balance and of balanced state.
So let's proceed here in the post-Aristotelians. So the post-Aristotelians maintains the dualism between body and soul, more ethical in their ideas, moral norms, attainment of happiness. So Stoicism, apathy or indifference to pleasure. So according to a dictionary, Stoicism is an ancient Greek school of philosophy founded at Athens by Zeno of Citium. The school taught that virtue, the highest good, is based on knowledge. The wise live in harmony with the divine reason that govern natures and are different to the vicissitudes of fortunes and to pleasure and pain. Hedonist is a general term for all theories of conduct in which the criterion is pleasure of one kind or another. Hedonistic theories of conduct have been held from the earliest times. They have been regularly misrepresented by their critics because of a simple misconception, namely, the assumption that the pleasure upheld by the hedonist is necessarily purely physical in its origins. This assumption is in most cases a complete perversion of the truth. Practically, all hedonists recognize the existence of pleasures derived from fame and reputation, from friendship and sympathy, from knowledge and art. Epicureanism, an ancient school of philosophy founded in Athens by Epicurus. The school rejected determinism and advocated hedonism, but of a restrained kind. Mental pleasure was regarded more highly than physical, and the ultimate pleasure was held to be freedom from anxiety and mental pain, especially that arising from needless fear of death and of the gods. So Epicureanism was originally a challenge to Platonism. Later its main opponent became Stoicism. Although Epicureanism is a form of hedonism insofar as it declares pleasure to be its sole intrinsic goal, the concept that the absence of pain and fear constitutes the greatest pleasure, and its advocacy of a simple life make it very different from hedonism as colloquially understood.